Dead men tell no tales, but their ships speak volumes. Welcome to the Cursed Compass, where we explore the darkest maritime mysteries. 60 days after it was last seen, the sailing vessel Wolfhound was found drifting silently in the North Atlantic, 800 nautical miles from its last recorded position. The 48-foot yacht was entirely intact. Its mast stood upright, the rigging was secure, and the mainsail was still bent neatly to the boom. 2 months earlier, the crew had abandoned this vessel in a severe offshore storm, reporting to search and rescue coordinators that the boat was sinking. A vessel abandoned as a doomed wreck had traveled 800 miles alone, appearing more seaworthy upon discovery than on the night it was left behind. Extreme weather exposes the distance between a hull's physical endurance and a crew's psychological threshold. In the middle of an ocean storm, survival depends on calculating the precise difference between a boat that is temporarily disabled and a boat that is taking on water. Unless a hull has suffered a catastrophic structural breach, moving from the cabin to a life raft increases the statistical probability of mortality. Deconstructing what happened aboard the Wolfhound reveals how human cognitive frameworks reach their limit long before the physical architecture of a well-built yacht fails. 400 miles off the Delaware coast, the Wolfhound encountered 50-knot winds and 20-foot seas. As conditions worsened, the yacht suffered a total loss of battery power, followed by a complete mechanical failure of the engine. Without power or steerage, the boat was subject to multiple knockdowns. This occurs when a wave generates enough force to push a vessel's mast parallel to or even underneath the water's surface. This diagram shows the righting moment, a fundamental feature of offshore keelboat design. Even rolled 90 degrees, the boat returns to vertical. The Swan 48 carries a massive ballast in its keel. Gravity pulls this downward, while buoyancy pushes upward, creating a lever effect forcing the boat upright. A yacht can lose all power and endure violent, repeated capsizes without suffering any compromise to its watertight structural integrity. The physical disorientation of a knockdown is often mistaken for a terminal failure, even while the boat's passive survival systems are functioning exactly as intended. The crew consisted of seasoned yachtsmen from the Royal Irish Yacht Club with extensive backgrounds in competitive racing. Competitive racing takes place in a controlled environment, supported by chase boats and constant radio contact. Offshore cruising, by contrast, offers absolute isolation. Faced with a power failure in the dark, the crew applied a racing-oriented decision matrix. They prioritized immediate extraction over the slower process of riding out the storm inside the hull. They activated the onboard EPIRB, an emergency beacon designed to broadcast their exact coordinates to global search and rescue authorities. Because the beacon was unregistered, rescue coordinators lacked critical data regarding the vessel's size, the number of passengers, and any specific hazards on board. This combination of a racing mindset and an unregistered beacon escalated a manageable mechanical failure into a high-stakes maritime emergency. The distress call activated the AMVER network, diverting nearby commercial merchant vessels toward the Wolfhound's position. A Coast Guard HC-130 aircraft arrived first, tasked with locating the small yacht in pitch-black conditions with nearly zero visibility. 2 diverted cargo ships then moved into the 20-foot seas to attempt a physical extraction. It took 6 hours to transfer the 4 sailors from the deck of the pitching yacht up the side of the towering merchant vessels. A ship-to-ship transfer in a storm creates significant risks of crushing or falling overboard. Inside their sealed, buoyant hull, the crew had been largely protected from these variables. The rescue operation became the most dangerous part of the ordeal, orchestrated to move the crew out of the safest environment available to them. After the crew departed, the Wolfhound drifted uncrewed and unpowered for 800 nautical miles across the Atlantic. When it was discovered near Bermuda, the boat was floating on its intended waterlines, its rigging intact, silently waiting in benign conditions. Maritime survival follows a specific axiom: you only step up into a life raft. This means that a crew should never abandon a boat until the vessel is actively sinking beneath them. The Swan 48 performed exactly as its engineers intended. It absorbed the impact of the storm and remained buoyant, regardless of the psychological state of those inside. True offshore resilience requires aligning our cognitive thresholds with the mechanical limits of the vessel, trusting the architecture of the boat, even when our own senses suggest otherwise.